Hi. Since last time I talked to you about the aligning the blade on a 18-inch saw or any saw that you have and how you can align it, I did quite a bit of work on my 18-inch saw. As you could see, everything is assembled and ready to go, but before I put the oil in, I figured I'll show you what I did and some of the point that some of you were asking. The electrical is already completed, and as you could see here, that's the switch box with the chain here to shut it off, and I will explain that to you in a little bit. But I'm going to show you around what else I did. So here you can see the belt guard, the motor down at the bottom. So that's the main drive for the blade. If you look at the back, and I'll show you this here. Okay. As you can see right now, you can see the drive motor. This one here is the electrical box junction, which is all connected here. This is a limit switch that I've added, and also I will explain to you how it works. This is the motor for the drive shaft, which is spring loaded here, and the reason for the spring loaded that if the blade gets stuck with the rock, this will loosen up and it will let the belt just slip and go around. So this is all assembled right now. Same time, I have the cover, and I did the hinge here, but if you look at the cover in the back, can you see that? Yeah, I think you can. See, the window is right here, which I've added this window, and you can see what's going on the inside. But before I start explaining everything, a couple of weeks ago or a week ago, somebody was asking about, or somebody, actually one of my friends on Facebook, he was asking about how you can get the nut out from the saw. I know he had a problem with an old saw and it was all gummed up like cement, and there was a lot of comments and answers. Some of them are good, some of them are so-so. One of the things that I want to stress is somebody was saying, oh, maybe it's left-handed threads and you need to turn it the opposite way because it could be the other way. Well, let me explain one thing. Why a manufacturer will use left-hand threads? Because they are more expensive to manufacture and to use. The easiest way to explain it is, here, I got a bench grinder that I'm going to just turn on it. Right now, you could see the bench grinder is here. This is a bench grinder, and this bench grinder, it has the right hand and the left hand nut. And the reason for that, when the grinder is going down and you're putting pressure on the grinding wheel, it's trying to turn backwards. In other words, if the nut on the right hand, it's a regular nut, which is right-handed nut, so it's turned clockwise. So if I'm putting pressure here, I'm actually trying to get it tighter on the shaft. The other side, if this is a regular nut, which is a right-handed nut, and it's turned this way, so it's a clockwise, and I put pressure here, and I'm going to be trying to open it the other way, because this is going to get loose and it's going to open. Therefore, they put a left-handed nut. So the left-handed nut, you screw it in by turning counterclockwise. When you go counterclockwise and you put pressure here, you actually tighten it more, and it will keep the grinding wheel in place. So this is a simple idea. Now, looking at this at the saw. If you look at the saw, and you see the blade and the nut. Okay, just gonna adjust it here so you could actually see it. Now, here's the blade and here's the nut on the inside. Now, when I get the rock here, I'm putting pressure in this direction, even though the blade is turning down to cut. So I'm putting pressure here. So what's happening, actually tightening the nut against the blade. If this one, it was the wrong nut and it's put counterclockwise, in other words, that if I tighten it this way, when I put the pressure from here, I'm going to loosen it and that blade is going to fly away. And that's the reason is we have it clockwise or counterclockwise. Let's say the shaft is on the other side. If it is on the other side and the nut from here, then I can understand, then you will have a left-handed nut. Same thing like we talked about the grinder. But most of the saws, the motor is on this side, it's on the left. Therefore, the nut is right-handed nut, which is a regular nut. Okay, now, this being said, what else did I do here on the saw? One thing is, the drive shaft, it has the split nut where if I move it up, I can move the whole assembly, which is the vise, I will move forward or backwards. What I added is the stops. On this one here, there's a mechanical stop, which is a chain that you could adjust the length of it. So if I'm cutting and I say that at this point here, I'm going to finish my cut, the slabs, I can take the chain and set it up to this point. So every time I finish the cut, the chain will pull the switch down at the bottom, which is connected right here. This is the switch. So we'll pull it and shut it off. So let's say the chain broke. What's going to happen? That vise is going to keep going all the way to the back. And you don't want that to happen, because if that happened, really you're going to ruin the saw completely and whatever else. So these two ways of doing or fixing that. One is on the drive shaft. The drive shaft is threaded shaft. And let me give you a close look here. Okay. This is the drive shaft right here. And this one here is about 1/2 inch in diameter. The problem with that is 1/2 inch is, it's kind of small. You don't want to get it any smaller than that. But one of the solution is at the end of the drive, where your vise will end up. So if I'm pushing all the way up to here, and this is my final point of stops, I don't want it to go any further out, then you will machine the threads on this rod. In other words, the nut will come to this point and run out of threads. Therefore, it will stop. It will not go anymore in. I didn't do this one here because, as I said, this is 1/2 inch diameter and I don't want to weaken it. I don't want to make it any smaller than that, so I left it the way it is. Okay, to get over this problem, what I did is I put the limit switch at the back. Now, the limit switch, when the carriage, device carriage goes all the way to the end, it will hit the limit switch that I did, and let me show you where it is. Okay, down here is a spring-loaded pin that it will activate the limit switch in the back, and this is activated by the vise itself. The vise has a stop here. It will activate that switch. How it's going to work with the limit switch? Here's the limit switch at the back, and what's going to happen is when the vise hit that spring loaded, it's going to come up and push the limit switch and shut the system out. Now, by shutting the electrical system down is basically shutting off the drive shaft motor, and also is shutting off the main motor for the saw. Okay, now this way, if again, it's just for the safety feature. If the chain will break, I always have something that is going to stop it. Another question that was, okay, I got a blade that was damaged or bent. Do I buy a new one? Well, these are very expensive, so you really don't need to buy a new one. You can fix it. If the blade is sharp, you can always fix it. Now, the worst thing that's going to happen is your blade will cut ridges on your rock, but since you gotta grind the caps, who cares about the ridges? This blade is $200 or more, depending what you're gonna buy. Why replace it? So what you need to do is you need to take the blade out, put it under a flat block of steel, and hammer the wobbled area. And what the worst condition is going to happen is it's going to be running unthrough to its position. In other words, it will go from one side to the other side, and that's where it's going to give you these ridges on your slab. If you don't like that, then go ahead and buy a new one. But you can always fix your blade. One thing you got to remember is when you're hammering the blade, you don't hit it right where the diamond is in the front. You just hit it from the inside. You should be alright. Okay, let me show you. Okay, this is also the window that I did, and it's very nice size window that you could actually see what's going on inside. So we talked about the chain, which just sit at the right distance where you want it. We talked about the limit switch, and one thing I gotta remind you, with the limit switch, when the limit switch shuts off the whole system, the electrical system, which shuts off both motors, what's gonna happen is okay, let's do it right now. So this one here, the white will be all the way back here, and it's already shut off the system. So now this motor is stopped, the drive shaft with the motor stopped. So you're at this position. And remember, this is closed now. So you're away and you come back, everything's shut off. You open it, and the first thing you're gonna do is move the rod back, or your vise back. So you go like this, and you go this way. What's going to happen is you release the limit switch, and as soon as you release this limit switch, you're going to have an oil bath. And I'm not talking about bubble bath, but so you got to watch out for this system. I know what it is. So if it does stop at the end, I know I have to shut the power off before I do anything. What I like about this one here, let me plug it in, and I'm going to show you what I mean. Here. Now I'm going to plug this one here because while I was talking to you, I didn't want to. Here it goes. Now everything is running. The main motor is running and the drive shaft is running. And you could hear, you see how quiet it is. Now even if I close the cover, it's very quiet. So when if I have the chain now over here, what's going to happen is going to move forward and hit the switch and it will stop. And this is basically the whole thing. Now all I have to do is just add oil to it and get it running. Now I know a lot of people were asking about what kind of oil do you use, and this, you could use any oil. I mean, there's a lot of preferences with oil, so I'm not going to go into it. But what I use personally is mobile oil. Let me show you the container. It's right here. See, this is it's mobile oil, Mobile Cut 102. Now this one here, you can mix it with water, and that's what I like about is could be mixed by water, typically at 95 to 5. In other words, 95% water and 5% oil. It becomes milky, so it's almost like white color when you mix it with water. I don't mix it with water. I use it directly without water, and so I mean you can use water into it. You can add to it. I've seen people adding water to it, and it saves a lot of time and a lot of money actually when you add water to it. But I don't. I tried adding water on the 6-inch saw for trim the cab, but I had to change it because one reason was when you have the milky color, which is all white, all the lines that you put on your cab to cut the shape around it, you can't see it anymore. Everything is white, so you don't see it. So I had to clean my 6-inch saw and change it to just straight oil. So this is the saw. Gonna get it running soon, and I'm probably going to show you some other video about how to or how it's going to look like when it's done. One of the other things was the drain for the oil. Eventually you have to go and clean all the dust and the sawdust that's going to be gummy and like cement. But the drain, I put a little drain here so it doesn't go into the valve. And the valve that I have at the bottom, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you, but let me try. The valve that I put in, it's a nice large valve, and let me get this one out. Okay, so if you could see down here, you will see what I'm talking about, the valve, and here it is. It's nice large valve that, okay, here it is. So you just open and it will drain everything out, close it, and it's closed. So that's my valve down here at the bottom. Also, the other thing I did, I don't know if you could see it here, but you see the bottom, it's not flat, it's on an angle. The flat area is below the saw, and on the other side it's angled. And the reason for that, I don't know if you'll be able to see it inside here. The reason for that is to save on the amount of oil that you're putting in, because down here is tapered down, and then you go here into a flat surface which is below the blade. The other thing, talking about oil, is how much oil do you put, or how much oil can you put on in the sauce. If you fill up with oil, what you need to do is you go about between 3/8 and half an inch above the bottom of that blade, and that's plenty. That's good enough. So half an inch maximum, it's good enough for your blade, and you'll be able to run it that way. On the other hand, if you have a flat bottom and you don't want to put that much oil in there, because it's a space that you have to fill up with oil to get to that level, all you need to do is get some big blocks, some leverite rocks that you have, and fill the bottom of that tank. Make sure that it will not interfere with your vice carriage, so it doesn't hit it at the bottom, and that it will take away from the volume of the oil that you're going to put in. So I hope you like that video, and I hope that will help you on your saws and how you can work it out and fix it. If you have any questions, just let me know. Thanks for watching.